Our Communicate and Lead for Inclusivity learning arc will cover many important and timely topics related to diversity and inclusion, such as Culture and Identity 101, Why Difference Matters, Speaking the Language of Diversity and Inclusion, and Language Perception and Cultural Bias. My area of concentration in my PhD program was culture and communication, and I've taught courses and published my own research on social identities, race, gender, sexual orientation, and ability, and I look at all of those identities through a lens of intersectionality. One of my favorite concepts that we'll learn about in more detail in this learning arc comes from organizational communication and culture scholar Brenda J. Allen. Now, she coined the phrase thinking under the influence, or TUI, to highlight a reflective process that can help us hone our intercultural communication competence. And as we'll learn throughout the curriculum at the Communication Leader Academy, being mindful is an important part of building communication competence in general. Once we become aware of our thoughts, our thought processes, and our behaviors, we can more effectively monitor and intervene in them. So she asks us to monitor our thoughts and feelings about other people, both similar to and different from us. And as we monitor, we should try to identify instances when we are guilty of TUI, such as uncritically accepting the dominant belief system, or relying on stereotypes, or prejudging someone based on their identities. She recounts seeing a picture on the front of the newspaper with 3 men who appeared to her to be Latino. She found herself wondering what they had done, and then found out from reading the caption that they were actually relatives of people who had died in a car crash. So she identified that as a TUI moment, and then asked herself if she would have thought the same thing if they would have been white, Asian, or female. So when we feel surprised by someone different, this often points to a pre-existing negative assumption that we can unpack and learn from. Now, while this example focuses on an out-group, she also notes that it's important for people, especially in non-dominant groups, to monitor their thoughts about their own group, as they may have internalized negative attitudes about their group from the dominant culture. As a Black and highly educated and credentialed woman, she notes that she's been critical of Black people who, quote, do not speak mainstream English, end quote, based on the stereotypes that she internalized about race, language, and intelligence. Now, it's not automatically a bad thing to TUI. Even Brenda Allen, an accomplished and admirable scholar of culture and communication, catches herself doing it. However, when we notice that we TUI, it's important to reflect on that moment and try to adjust our thinking processes. And this is an ongoing process, but it's an easy to remember way to cultivate your intercultural communication competence.